All right. So I wanted to get a little nerdy with y'all today, um, and talk a little bit about roots. Um, Tying this into my love of languages, my linguistics degree, um, I want to talk about how, like, things that don't seem to come together can really come together. So this is not necessarily a story time, slight teaching moment, but bear with me, okay? Bear with me. Um, when I was in Peace Corps, I got the privilege to learn Arabic, Moroccan Arabic specifically. Um, and I learned this later from my time in Peace Corps. Um, I didn't learn it like during, but I just because I'm a nerd with words, so I was really like happy to kind of discover this. But like Arabic essentially is built from roots, right? They're alphabetical language just like English is. The script you can break it up, and each part is a letter basically. Um, but the way that they do their root words, there's usually like three consonants, and then from those three consonants, you can enter in different vowels in different orders, blah, 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 to make different words, right? Um, and so you can just get this whole like word family off of these root consonants, these three consonants. Um, and they can mean completely different things, right? So there is a root with the jim, which is kind of like a J sound, um, and then noon and noon, which are both the like letters for in. And from that root, you can get several different words. Now, I haven't spoken nor properly studied Arabic in a while, so I'm not going to pronounce any of the actual Arabic words, but I'll just tell you the meanings. But basically, from that root word, you can get the words that mean garden, you can get paradise, you can get jinn, like like for genies. Um, you can get the word that means like mad or possessed. You can also get the Arabic word for like fetus or embryo. Um, and then there's another slight variation of mad and possessed that's like madness. Um, so, if you were to just see these words separately, right, you would think that they don't belong together, unless you study the roots together, the root words together. You wouldn't see any correlation. You would just think that they're random, right? But they're not, right? Systematically, linguistically, they're not. Um, and so when we look at the core of that root, the semantic core of that root, it's something that's hidden, something that's concealed, right? A garden is a place where things grow from under the earth, right? The roots are under the ground, literally. Um, Jinns or the genies are hidden beings, they're unseen. Madness is a hidden state of mind. You can't see madness, you can witness it. A fetus or embryo is hidden in the body. And then paradise is like the ultimate garden, like hidden garden, like think secret garden. And you don't, because you kind of don't realize you're there until you're there. So one root, many words, many branches of that, all connected by something hidden or underneath. Um, and I get really excited about things like this, y'all. So y'all gonna have to bear with me. If you love it too, hit subscribe and like. Thanks. Let's go on this journey together. And so I think but like in all the things that we've been talking about this month, and last month, technically, um, this is like the thing about being multi-passionate that people don't talk about, right? When they tell you to pick just one, they're not seeing the root. They're just seeing the scatteredness. They're just seeing the randomness. When they're telling you to focus and they're telling you to cut those parts off of yourself, um, they're not seeing what's underneath that root, that's a part of you. Um, and sometimes you and we don't see it ourselves, right? I didn't. I didn't for a long time. And so sometimes we have to do the digging first. We have to do the digging, we have to do the searching, and because sometimes even to us, we feel scattered. Um, and so it wasn't until I did more digging and I looked deeper and I looked underneath all of it that I was finding my roots. Um, and then that's when you have to start sitting with some questions, right? What am I doing in all of these? What is the connection? Um, it's not my title, it's not my identity, or like label per se. It's something that's a part of me. It's part of my identity, but can I dig into it? Can I dig deeper? Can I figure it out? Can I figure out what's the piece that keeps moving me, that I keep returning to? Um, and I think the part of this process that I am enjoying is that once I've started to give myself the space to dig and find my roots, the roots of myself, the guilt starts to fade. The regret starts to shrink. The shame starts to dissolve. And because I realized I wasn't scattered, right? I realized that these weren't just random things. And I wasn't just starting over, right? We've talked about that. Um, that I was a person who had this this skill with lots of tools, and I kept returning to it in different ways. And I had to figure out that under the ground was all these caverns, caves, and tunnels that were connecting each other, the bridges that were underneath. Um, and I just had to give myself the permission to see that pattern within me. Um, so I hope that by me showing up in the messy middle and discovering some of these things for myself, that you take the time to dig and ask yourself what's the root of your interest that you share. What's the thing underneath them all that you haven't named yet? Um, and I hope you go on that journey, and I hope that you find it and come back and comment what you think that is for yourself.